We are working together now more than 25 years.
This is wonderful. Normally you have a best friend and everybody do his own job. And sometimes you met each other on weekend. But what do you want in your life? You are in the same business and you can do this with your best friend. And you feel lucky. You can't find it a second time in the world.
This is friendship.
Hey, this is Harman Skurnik, and I am here with Mike Likens, who is the portfolio manager for all of our German and Austrian wines here at Skurnik Wines and Spirits. You sat down recently with two incredible individuals, Hans Reisetbauer, who some say is the greatest distiller on the planet, and also Bernhard Ott, who might be one of the greatest producers of Grüne on the planet. And they're like best friends or something like that, right?
They are. Sometimes you meet somebody who's kind of your counterpart and you don't know it and you immediately click. There was an immediate recognition that their values were completely in line and they had both similarly rigid and distinctive opinions about the quality of farming and viticulture. And of course, in Hans's world, the farming of all agriculture.
They're both pretty meticulous about farming. I mean, they're perfectionists, are they not, about getting the best fruit possible and making the best product possible?
Correct. And actually, it's quite interesting. So Bernhard was growing apricots for Hans to distill into his apricot eau de vie.
I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
amazing.
and so yes, they are very rigid and great farmers. And it's so funny, the first time that you go visit Bernhard, for example, he cares so much about the farming, but he also wants to show you his bee colonies and say, these are the real workers, out here in the vineyards. And then he wants to show you his very large compost pile and talk so much about his focus on regenerative farming, but also how that informs the quality of the wines that are produced.
He's biodynamic, is he not?
Absolutely. Yeah, he was a founding member of a organization called Respect, which is a biodynamic organization in German-speaking countries.
Well, if you've never had the wines of Bernhard Ott, they are really, really special. And Reisetbauer, I mean, the eau de vies that he produces, everything from Williams pear to carrot, for example, are outstanding and unique.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Williams pear is what he does, you would say kind of like the everyday product. Those are in his backyard or right off of the distillery. He has his pear orchard. There are, of course, the carrot eau de vie, which is 40 kilos of carrots to yield 1 liter of eau de vie. So
insane.
There's no blending here. So not only are both of these individuals really focused on high quality farming, and Hans would be happy to tell you about the time he realized he needed a transition from richer soils of growing carrots to more sandy soils because of the quality of the carrot that he was able to get, but also how focused they are in the production. Hans is really intense when he talks about the oxidation of the fruit or in this case, the vegetable during the fermentation process. And that every time he tastes another eau de vie, like you can taste that this is oxidized. This fruit was already oxidized before it was ever distilled.
Wow.
And he's not an architect, but he designed his entire distillery himself. He did the blueprints and he figured out how to reduce the number of steps in between each process, like actual physical steps, so that there was less time for the raw ingredient to oxidize. And it's so fun to talk with these guys and hear how focused they are and how serious, something that we may overlook on the consumer side of things, how much that informs the end product.
Well, I agree. And not only are they fabulous producers, but they're also fabulous people to talk with. And I'm sure that this is going to be very entertaining. So why don't we just listen in?
Great.
Thanks, Mike.
Hans, Bernhard, I love when you guys come to the city. It's a semi-regular thing, and having you running around the city, seeing all of our friends and restaurants really keeps us busy, but it also is a lot of fun. I love the way that you two champion each other and travel together and really mirror each other's philosophies. It's really nice to have friends like this in the industry that are true friends. How long have the two of you been working together?
More than 25 years ago now.
Yeah.
In 99. So a lot of very close ideas of quality and about wine drinking, and also I learned a lot about the spirits. My father distilled at this time, and after I met Hans, we stopped it. So this was the beginning of this long friendship.
And you're both from farming backgrounds. Bernhard, of course, it's not just viticulture. You have lots of things in the farm, including bees and apricots. Can you tell us a bit about your farm in the Wagram?
First, we are located in the Danube Valley. It's for us a nice place. We have the Danube, we have the rivers Kamp and Kamptal in our village. We have a lot of wonderful agriculture, like corn, wheat, and sugar beets, up to pumpkins, apricots, peaches. But on the steep hills, on the terraces, there is a big tradition of wine. So it's agriculture in the family, and also animals. Each farmhouse have also his own animals.
So definitely not a history of monoculture. Bernhard, you're in Lower Austria, and Hans, you're in Upper Austria, but also from a farming background. But you're the first distiller in your family. How did that come to be?
My father has had a normal farm with wheat, barley, oats, sugar beets, and there was only one distribution, Upper Austria, and you bring them the product, and they say you what you get money. And for me, this was terrible. You cannot sell anything for your own. And so I decided in 1990 to plant the first orchard with apples, because I want to make a quality to sell it and so on. And this was the start. And I was always interested in wine, beer, and spirits. And it's not possible to make wine in Upper Austria. Now some producers try it, but I think it's for good wine, really good wine, it's not possible. And so I started with distilling. And it was an idea. I get this idea on the 12th of June, 1994, as Austria came to the European Union. And we started on the 16th of September with the first 100 bottles.
And now, hundreds of thousands of bottles later, you've become a household name amongst people who really care about high quality spirits. And that's because of your attention to detail. The Williams Pear Eau de Vie is really your bread and butter. But tell us, what makes that one so special?
I think the hardest thing to distill is Poor Williams, because not this fast in oxidation and so on. And if you can do this, then you can distill all. Because first is fermentation. Before distilling is fermentation. If you can make a perfect fermentation for Poor Williams, then you can distill a whiskey, you can make a gin, you can make a vodka. And this first is that you find the perfect ripeness and get the perfect fruit. So we have now 13,000 trees of Poor Williams, and then you have to do it as fast as you can. So washing, cutting, and bring it in the stainless steel tank. If you do this really fast, then you have no oxidation. And then you make the fermentation. And for the fermentation, I learned a lot from Bernhard. We are working together now more than 25 years. And we are working together every day on quality, how we can change, or not change, but how we find small steps now to get better. The steps each year get smaller, because we are, I think, together on a place where you cannot find the big steps.
Interesting. Bernhard, one of the biggest changes that you've made at the winery over the past 20 years is your conversion to biodynamic farming, which has its roots in Austria by fellow Austrian Rudolf Steiner. Why is farming this way so important to you?
The key for me for a wonderful terroir wine is 90% vineyard and only a little bit of intelligent work in the cellar. And this was for me the biggest step ever in 2006. I met a wonderful guy, Andrew Laurent, US-born guy from California, and he was the first teacher for biodynamic farming, and he transformed also more than 40 wineries in US to biodynamic. He's looking to the place where Steiner starts this biodynamic work, and we are looking for someone to transform our winery because we started in 93 and it works wonderful and was very successful. But it was difficult to find elegant and fine biodynamic wines at this time.
And I think it was also difficult to find really elegant wines with not so much alcohol, but with the full body of flavor.
This was a good decision, I think. Now we are in a comfortable situation that our souls are extremely healthy and can work with climate change, and also the wines are in a wonderful condition.
The thing about biodynamics that I don't think a lot of people realize is that when you cut out machines and chemicals, you need to replace those shortcuts with manual labor. It's a lot of hard work. And you've assembled a team that's more than ready for that challenge and any challenge that nature throws its way. I remember 2014 being a particularly challenging vintage.
I think this was one of the most intelligent jobs because it was really a hard year.
Yes, it was only 1 year what we decided to do no single vineyard wines, and we use 100% healthy grapes. We work during the harvest with 40, 50, 60, sometimes 80, 100 people, and we pre-select all the grapes in the vineyard. Only healthy and higher quality comes to the cellar.
And when we talk about of course, the labor, we're really talking about the people that you work with. And you have assembled a really talented and small team of full-time employees that really operate like a family. What's inspired that structure?
It's like in Reisetbauer family, all co-workers sit together and eat together. We have lunch together. Hans normally cooks for the guys. I'm not so talented in cooking, so we organize the chef for us. And we need no meetings because in 1 hour we discuss about what can we do better or what happens in the vineyard and so on.
I don't want to gloss over how rare that is for a company, especially a company of your size, to take a break in the middle of the day, break bread together and discuss, what needs to be done along with everything else.
Also to have fun.
Playing cards and playing football or walk with the dog.
Yeah, that sounds like a perfect way to live. Hans, let's talk about blue gin for a bit. I don't know of many Austrian gins, and I can't say many existed when you first came up with the recipe.
First, the idea was to make a traditional gin with a lot of juniper, but in a modern way, how we work. In Austria, in this time, 2002, we have had not good gin and terrible tonic and no ice. Nobody knows that you need really perfect ice also for a perfect gin and tonic. And then I go to London to the gin museum and learned all about how many botanicals you can use and so on. And we started roundabout with 72 botanicals. We need nearly 3 years for our recipe. We have had 56 gins before we were on the right recipe. And for me, the right flavor is, if you drink a gin and tonic, you need the freshness, you need the body from the juniper, you need also a little bit bitterness, and it must be a round product. It must be clean and without sugar. And in 2006, we started with blue gin. And so we will never change the recipe for blue gin.
We love the gin. It's definitely our favorite gin, especially for gin and tonics. But you also make other spirits like brandy and vodka. And I also remember when you told me your next project was going to be soy sauce.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of an Austrian soy sauce. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, the soya sauce comes from the rotation in the agriculture. If you are organic, you have only the same fruit every 5 years on the same field. We are planting soya beans since, 20 years. And we learned a lot of soya beans. And then a friend comes and we discussed about the soya sauce, and so we started this project. The idea on the end of the day is every time the same. We want to make a completely autochthone farmhouse. So all what we do is for the blue gin, the wheat, for the whiskey, the barley, and we have to do irrigation. It's completely different to wines because the roots for our fruits don't grow 30 meters in the soil. They have 1.5 meter. So we pick also the rainwater from the rooftop to a pond. And the idea on the end of the day is you make a completely autochthone farming. If you want to work organic, you know what on the end of the day what you have to do. And it's a long learning process. But I'm now 30 years a distiller, and I learn every day.
That's admirable. Doing things the right way often means that you're doing things the hard way. I don't know of any other distilleries in the world that grow their own wheat to make their gin, and it just demonstrates your commitment to being present with the land and what nature can provide.
If you are a big farmer in Upper Austria, you have to do 1,000 hours on a tractor. I think I was sitting the last 5 years, not 20 hours on a tractor, because it's not necessary if I'm sitting on a tractor. It's necessary that we go through the fields, that we go through the orchards, through the vineyards, and it's a completely other thing. We are looking with the nature.
I love that mindset. It's like, it's not just doing what's right to get through the week or through the month. It's really thinking about what's important for the land, for the next generation. And it really does put the kind of cultural piece in agriculture. It's not just about commerce and making a ton of revenue.
This is also a very important part for the price of a product. So if I decided to get the revenue after 1 year or after one generation. So if I want to have fast and quick money, so I need chemical fertilizers and chemical sprayers, technical machines, cheap people, and destroy the soil and go to the next place. So on the market, the product is cheap. But on the end, you destroy nature, you destroy different kind of birds, animals, other things. What is the price? And so this is also a part of the customer to protect a little bit of nature and decide also what I want to have, what I want to drink. Want to have only the cheapest products, or I want to have a look about the working behind of this product?
I see it completely similar, but this way is not easy. It's not easy for this generation.
Yeah, I think the next generation really seems to be feeling that pressure with climate change to sustain a more difficult type of farming, and being organic or biodynamic. It's not as radical as it once was. It feels like every winery these days is claiming some kind of sustainability label, but there's a lot of variation here. There's a lot of greenwashing and big companies using this more as a marketing ploy than a commitment to a philosophy.
But the product in the glass have to be outstanding. The product in the glass have to be the reason why the people want to have this.
Quality is the first.
Absolutely. And Bernhard, let's talk about Grüner Veltliner. This is your primary variety, and it's not one that enough people recognize as an elegant wine. But yours seem to have so much concentration and power and depth. How are you able to achieve that?
You have to also look to the history. If we went to this wonderful museum of art and we saw a lot of handcrafted things where you say you can do it better. And it's the same if you work on a product and you work the whole day and the whole year, and you think also during the night about this. I think you learn from the nature. You know the weather a little bit. You did a lot of decisions in another way, and we need no flying winemaker because we know what we want to do. And the thing is, after such a long time, you're every time one step more and step more and step more and more pure and more pure and more pure. And this is also to find the right employers. This is important. Our cellar guys are 25 and 14 years in our winery, which is vineyard managers and more than 10 years here. These are all things for stability, for the last qualities. And if the people go out, they know where are the wet places and don't drive with machines on these wet places. They go to the dry places. When diseases come, everybody know where is the biggest risk, because from the history, all we know this. And to plant the right rootstock, to select the right wines for crafting. And so you have your own quality, your own character in the vineyard, with the soil, with the compost. And there's a million of decisions what makes a difference. And on the end, it's the result of our life. And this is in a bottle.
And speaking of what's in the bottle, we also in front of us have some of Hans's apricot eau de vie, which smells exactly like ripe apricots. How did you achieve this perfect essence of the apricot?
Now, I think what I learned for my product, that you can get a sweetness in the mouth also for spirit. I learned it from the wines. And because it's apricot here now, the apricot comes from Bernhard. You have here the sweetness and you have no sugar. How is this going? And the fruit, the idea for a fruit sweetness comes from me from wine. And I want to find it in the spirits. And I think we have found it in the spirits. If you get carrot, there's so much sweetness also for apricot. All the thing is you have the sweetness on the side of the tongue. If you have sugar in spirits, and it's for me the worst. And I learned this from wines, from his wines. Because outside of the company, I taste really more Ott than all the other guys in the world. I think so. And for me, I learned so a lot of clean wines. But clean wines don't mean technical wines for me. I want to have a clean, ripe, perfect fruit. I'm 90% in the world knows what I think about botrytis wines. It's not my idea, but I learned from these wines also how to make our product. And we need full-bodied, we don't need alcohol overloaded. So these are the things what I think we learn together from each to the other. And I think this is also the reason why we are also so good on the market. Bernhard knows all about me, and I know all the things about his wines and about him. And this is so great to work together.
It's obvious that you two are so comfortable with each other. And when you taste each other's either wines or eau de vies and gins, you have a very firm opinion about how they taste, and you are honest about of what you're experiencing with each other. And it's clear to me that you push each other in a way that really that is recognizable with like really great athletes or really anybody else in the world that is pushing themselves to greatness and have found a true counterpart that they can bounce ideas and ideas off of each other.
We see what we do, but it's never a fight. You will never get a friend in the wine business, and I will never get a friend in the spirit business that he says the truth, really the truth. And also the truth if something is perfect. Because nobody from another producer will you say it's perfect. It's very hard that we say it's something perfect, but I have tried 2 months ago from Bernhard a wine in his cellar, and for me it's the best I have ever had in Austria, the best white wine. It was mind-blowing for me that this is possible in Austria. Bernhard's favorite every time was our Rowanberry, and says to me, I think it's the best what you have ever done, and 4 months later I get the 100 point. This is friendship. I hope, and I say also to my son, that he gets a friend in this business, what we get.
This is wonderful. Normally you have a best friend and everybody do his own job. And sometimes you met each other on weekend, but What do you want in your life? You are in the same business and you can do this with your best friend and you feel lucky. You can't find it a second time in the world.
Hans, Bernhard, I can't thank you enough for being here, in New York, talking about the things that you're passionate about, bringing your wonderful wines and eau de vies to the world. I can't understate enough how much inspiration you provide us here at Skurnik, like the North Star of both farming, but of holding ourselves to a extremely high standard when it comes to the wines and the products that we represent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Skurnik Unfiltered is recorded at Skurnik Wines and Spirits headquarters in the Flatiron District of New York City, which is why you might hear some city noises as we go along, like horns honking. If you found the conversation interesting, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a review. You can stay up to date on our show and upcoming events by following Skurnik Wines on Instagram and visiting our website at skurnik.com.